Hey guys, Wolvie here with part 2 of who needs a rework and what directions can reworks go. And this time this is the male units, of course, so I'll be back once we get to the home screen with who I picked and why. And by the way, Jackson the cat says hi. Now, who are my 4 picks for male units who need a rework bad? My first pick, it should not come as much of a surprise, but it's going to be Palin from Final Fantasy IV, and it is self-explanatory. He has too few uses of his first 2 abilities. He is one of those characters that is beyond reliance on his EX weapon. Something needs to change with him. Give him a reason to be more useful in the game. The second character who I feel is in desperate need of a rework, again, this is not a surprise. He actually was one of the first units to ever come out. It is Sans from Final Fantasy 13. And again, he's good at what he does, but there's so many people who do what he does much better and already have their EX Plus and or EX. Come on, Square Enix. Get this guy his EX Plus, please. The third character who I feel is in need of a rework bad is Raijin from Final Fantasy VIII. It's the same thing with Fujin. He is an elemental specialist. However, there are units who do what he does, but do it way better. He lacks an EX Plus on top of that. And it's kind of saddening where people who pull for their favorites but can't really use them because there's no rework and or EX Plus. The fourth character and the final character who is in need of a rework is Cyan from Final Fantasy VI. And I saw a video of his 7070 Awakening without his EX. He's actually not bad, but again, there's so many people who do what he does, but better. And this is saddening. Come on. For Cyan, I just really want to see him with a rework. Because he really deserves it, in my opinion. Now we're going to go into the 3 male units where they may or may not have their rework yet, but if they did, where could it be implemented? So the first one, again, not too much of a surprise, it's going to be none other than Sensor from Final Fantasy VI. You see here, he's about to get his EX weapon on Global fairly soon. However, even with his EX Plus, he does not have a rework. And he actually could benefit for one, surprisingly. So you have the 2 abilities here on Global, Freeze, Joker, and Red Card. His EX ability on JP is called Prismatic Flash. Now, I did a lot more guesswork on the Prismatic Flash as opposed to Freeze, Joker, and Red Card. So we're going to go into Freeze Joker first and foremost. He needs more uses of this ability. I'm just going to be flat out and brutally honest here. Because this is the one ability that's really hurting him in the realm of longevity in fights. And it pains me to, mention him as one of those who is super reliant on his EX. And part of the reason is that Freeze Joker has so few uses. So, the first and foremost, more uses of Freeze Joker. That way he's not as reliant on his EX/EX Plus in the future. Now, another part of the rework could be the duration of what it's known for, and that's freezing bravery. So the duration of this particular debuff, it can be framed. However, the biggest benefit would be the duration lasting much longer. And the reason why I say the duration should be much longer is like, again, if you have few uses, make sure those uses count. And by that, the duration, it lasts longer. And by that, the number of turns could be double digits. Make it something like the HP region from Echo. Or the buff that King gets. I forgot which one it is, but he has a buff that lasts him a long, long time. Same thing with, I know Palom has a buff that gives him that lasts a long time. So it's one of those, yeah. Freeze Joker needs a lot of work. And the biggest areas would be more uses, longer duration of the debuff, and some overflow would be nice. In regards to red card, the second ability, I would also go with more uses on this, but not as much. And on that, I would say the buffs granted from red card would be more potent. Meaning either the amount of buffs he gains, since the percentages of they are bigger, and or they last longer, turns wise. And if there is some overflow on this, that's pretty freaking cool. But I highly doubt it because of the type of move it is. And I do want this, and this is a bit of more of a selfish desire on my end. I would like to see this as a bit of AoE. Now we're going to go into the ability on Prismatic Flash. Now, I was doing a little research on this on the Dissidia database website, which will be in the description below. And the only thing I have on it, from what I could take from it, is that some format of overflow, and it ignores defense. Because the move by itself is pretty freaking awesome. And that's like, it is one of those things like what it does. Again, I based the info from the Dissidia database website. This actually kind of helps him, but he still needs a rework. And it's going to be a lot, and it's got these two abilities very heavily so. Now the third unit I can feel where some of the rework can be on is actually not the third person, the second person. Second person. Get that in your brain, Wolvie. The second person is on my list is Zack from Final Fantasy VII Crisis Core and the Final Fantasy VII franchise. Where do I see a rework with him? Now with Chain Slash, part of it is the duration of the lock, meaning that the targets focus on him. That duration of the lock from this move lasts longer. I would probably also give this with a few more uses and or some format of AoE. And if there's some overflow on this, perfect. That'd be great. But if it's not the end of the world. But I would definitely say the duration of the lock has more turns on it. Make it comparable to something like Celeste has it with Runic or Steelguard from Snow. And if I were the developers, I would probably be more on the duration being kind of more like Snow's than Celeste. In regards to Rush Assaults, number of uses, AoE Esca damage. And by AoE Esca, meaning that everybody gets HP damage, but the main target, but it's like, you go back and forth between one target to the next, all that sort of thing. Kind of like Sid's EX ability where he goes back and forth. Now with Apocalypse, I don't have his EX weapon. However, what I do know from Apocalypse, the biggest issue I have on this is this whole Brave Barrier he has. The fact that it has the same exact problem that Deuce has with Concerto, and the Concerto is before it gets reworked. So the rework on Apocalypse, in my honest opinion, that Brave Barrier stays on even if his bravery is broken. And the duration of that particular buff lasts longer. Plus the damage, it has, in the sense of the overflow damage, the amount goes up. Now we're going to get into the third and final character, where these could get interesting with this rework, is surprisingly Seymour for Final Fantasy X. Now, I kind of picked him because it was a bit of a hard one for me to pick from. And the majority of male characters already have a rework of some sort on JP. So, with Seymour, I think for the first two abilities here, Chain Spell and Lance of a Trophy, I would say definitely both of them would be some degree of more uses. That would be very helpful. But we're going to go into Chain Spell first. I think that he could help, in a sense, a little bit of turn manipulation. And definitely some overflow on this, maybe 120 to 150%. Maybe that one, if not closer to 200, to keep up with the current content on JP. And I probably won't be surprised if this has some format of AoE damage. Now, in regards to his second ability here, Lance of a Trophy, this is what it does. Now, again, more uses would be great. And I think this one could benefit from AoE Esca damage in the splash format, meaning that instead the target gets everything, non-targets get half. Let's see, like I said, I am looking at my notes here. So, I forgot the name of his EX ability. I want to say it's Requiem. However, I do see this as a potential, but don't quote me on this, as this hits more than once, kind of like Gomez and his EX ability. I know Renoa has this in her EX ability. Even Lightning has this in her EX ability. And when it comes on global at some point in next year, Seven has this in her EX ability. So it's one of those, it's like, it hits more than once. The amount of overflow is pretty freaking insane. And I would probably have to say some degree of and depending on, it makes him less reliant on something, you know what I mean. But the main things would be, it hits more than once, probably ignore defense, and the amount of overflow is probably 180%. Now, with that out of the way, now which male character do I have a prediction for and why? We're going to see if I can grab him really quickly. Hopefully it doesn't take me that long. Here he is. Snow from Final Fantasy XIII Trilogy. Now, why him? Now, for those of you who have caught it on Twitter and play JP, you'll notice that he just got his alternate costume. Now, we know that Sync from Final Fantasy Type 0 is one of the upcoming character events. Again, we don't know just when as of yet, because we don't have the global stream with September's calendar just yet. However, we will not be surprised on global if Snow's alternate costume shows up with the event. And for those of you who are familiar with the trilogy, you probably have an idea which alternate costume Snow is going to be tied with and why. And if his alternate costume comes on global next month, you better bet your ass I will be buying it. And part of the reason is I met Troy Baker in person at the Chicago Comic and Entertainment Expo 2017. Really nice, really nice lad, I must say. He's surprisingly to me, he's actually knowledgeable of Final Fantasy as a franchise. He told me something about playing Final Fantasy VII because it's partially because of the t-shirt I was wearing at the time. Yeah, so it's one of those, it's like he's familiar with the franchise. He likes Final Fantasy VII, believe it or not. So it's one of those things, if his alternate costume comes next month, you better bet your ass I'm buying it. And that's where I'm going to end this video. With Wolvie here, signing off. I will catch you all on the flip side.